Help revitalize the neighborhood as you construct offices, subways, parks, homes, and shops to attract new tourists and potentially new residents in Bloomtown. Thank you for joining me today at Tangermouse Studio D. Bloomtown is a 2 to 4 player tile-laying game published by Sidekick Games. It takes about 30 minutes to play, and they sent us this copy to review. Players receive a board, 2 face-down tiles, and 1 bonus token. You'll place out stacks of tiles on the board. The number of tiles will depend on the number of players. The game is played until a certain number of stacks are depleted, 3 for a 2-player game and 2 stacks for a 3 and 4-player game. On your turn, you'll place a tile from your hand onto your player board. You'll score points for the tile you just placed. The back of the rulebook shows all the scoring possibilities, but basically each building type gets points from what is connected to it. And then you'll draw a new tile based on the matching icon that you covered up from the tile you just placed. Sometimes you'll reveal community tiles, and they are just placed above the town square board. Once one type gets 2 matching tiles, then all players rescore that type for their town boards. Office, subways, and parks get 2 points per tile, and you rescore homes and shops like normal scoring. Some spaces on your town board have green spaces, and you can either take another action or score double for the tile you just built. You're not allowed to take more than 2 actions in a row, so no covering green space after green space after green space just to get yourself more actions. You also have a bonus token that allows you to either take another action, score double, or rescore a community type if it has exactly 1 community tile of that type. The company described this as a meaty filler game, and I think that's a pretty good description. It plays fast and it's easy to pick up and learn. There's also another side to the player boards, and the icons are placed differently there. I think a big part that makes this tile-laying game different from other tile-laying games is how you get your tiles. It's not just like, I get to pick any tile and place it in my town board. No, it really is dependent on where do I place my tile. That icon then determines what tile I get into my hand. So that's sort of restrictive a little bit, but I really like how it makes my brain think. So let's look at some of the negatives. I think the shops and the color choices and designs are the biggest negative. The rules show blue for offices, but they're more purpley, and that can get super confusing when you're trying to score points. Also, the ones with apple carts on top show red apples to show that they get points next to red homes, but they also get points next to offices which are blue. I guess maybe it's for the bluish card or the blue flowers. It's really hard to tell. I think people could confuse the shapes with colors like homes and offices too. I do like the graphic design choice of what and how things score with the horizontal lines, diagonal lines, and things like that. So the game rule suggests that you play with the A side where the icons are all lined up in columns, and then the more advanced side is the B side. Now at first glance it looks really randomized, but it really isn't. They're actually still lined up just in a more diagonal format, so I really didn't feel like it was a huge game changer. I think the biggest thing for me personally between A and B is that in B the green spaces are all in the 4 corners, whereas in A they are on the edges, but there is one here in the middle, so it was a little easier to take do more things on the A side. So I think that's the one thing that I thought is a little harder to get to the green spaces in the corners. I like the art and illustrations and how it feels like a blueprint that's growing into a city. I would compare Bloomtown to a couple other games, Quadropolis from Days of Wonder, and Between Two Cities from Stonemaier Games. Now, all 3 of these games, you're laying tiles, you're building cities, and really you're getting points from how you lay your tiles in your city and, the matching and things like that. There's some similar mechanics going on there. But I would say Quadropolis is not a filler game. So I'm just going to take that one out for right now. And I'm going to compare Between Two Cities and Bloomtown. Now, right off the bat, you'll notice that these boxes are like identical. The shapes, at least. They are very similar in their shapes and sizes. They both play pretty quickly. I believe this one says, yep, 25 minutes, and this one says 30 minutes, so really close on the play time. But here are some differences. Bloomtown, 2 to 4 players. Between Two Cities is 1 to 7 players. So you can play this with a lot more players. Also, the drafting mechanic is different. In the video, I showed you that you're going to get your tile, or the tile mechanic, you're going to get your tiles in Bloomtown from where you place your tiles. So you sort of know exactly what kind of tiles you're getting, although the tiles do change out throughout the game, so you might not know exactly what you're going to get. Someone might get what you want. Whereas in Between Two Cities, there's a drafting mechanic where you're passing the tiles from hand to hand between the players. So I personally like the drafting mechanic in Between Two Cities. The other thing that's different is in Between Two Cities, it's semi-co-op. So you're sort of working with the player to your left and the player to your right, whereas in Bloomtown, you're focusing on your own city. I think for a filler game, I actually like Between Two Cities for what it brings to the table, maybe a little bit more than Bloomtown for this tile-laying game. But Bloomtown brings its own qualities, like I said, it's kind of cool, kind of interesting trying to think, if I lay my tile on the tulip, I know I'm going to get to this tile because I really need that subway tile to help me score a lot of points. So if this sounds like something you would enjoy, then check out Bloomtown from Sidekick Games, coming soon to retail, and we would love for you to subscribe to Tantrum House.